everyone, and welcome to Film Geek Time Machine. I'm your host, Austin Kennedy. This is my co-host, Tim Kaiser. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And in the podcast, it's I have a time machine. And what happens when a film geek has a time machine?
The only reason I'm your friend.
Yeah. What happens when you give a time machine to a film geek? Well, I'm going to use it to go back and watch movies, and you're going to come back too.
You could save Marilyn. You could save Marilyn Monroe's life, but no, you'd actually prefer she was dead, so her movies were more iconic.
Well, the thing is, though, we don't want to cause a paradox, so we're just going back incognito.
You'd just be sad that different people would star in different movies, and that would make you miserable.
Okay? That would. I don't want to change anything the way it is, except maybe Matthew Lillard. We can get him out of movies, but.
Well, we're going to talk about an actor in one of these.
Oh no. Okay, so the year that what we do on this podcast is we will pick a random year, random number .org is where I go to, and then we're just going to pick a random year. So this and date. So February 29th, 1960. I wanted to pick a leap year.
It was random in the fact that you wanted to pick one.
I wanted to pick a leap year. Yeah. So the year was random.
Granted, we've also cheated that numerous times already.
Well, we're gonna pick. There'll be some dates that we will pick an actual date, but like we did our birthdays. But no, February 29th, 1960. Let's go take a look at the newspaper here. Let's pull that up. And we already looked at this and went back in time already, but we'll just show you what most of these movies that were in February 29th, 1960. And again, we're from Minneapolis, so we're looking at the Minneapolis paper. Most of the movies are from 1959, so they're all held over. And there's some other movies from like the mid 50s too.
Yeah.
So we have Ben-Hur, the most popular film, probably won Best Picture.
Yeah, we could have done that. We wouldn't have had to watch nearly as many movies, actually.
That's true.
That would have filled in a good 2 movies.
There was a Soviet movie called The Cranes Are Flying, which I do kind of want to see, actually.
We should see some weird stuff.
We should. Often. Room at the Top, which was also nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
Horse Soldiers with the John Wayne movie. Suddenly Last Summer, Elizabeth Taylor, Katharine Hepburn. A Cinerama, a documentary, South Seas Adventure.
Mm-hmm. All these, which I mean, sometime we're going to be seeing some weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch most of these. Whatever.
Well,
Darby O'Gill and the Little People. We could have
better than half the stuff we've already watched. Like the third week, second week.
Pillow Talk.
Well, the first week actually in our retro.
Oh, right. Yeah,
some of those are real terrible. That's better than those.
So Pillow Talk.
Pillow Talk
was Scared Stiff. Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin. Rock Hudson and Doris Day was Pillow Talk. We could have.
Damn you.
So we didn't pick. Oh, and then a Bridget Bardot double feature, Love Is My Profession and The Night Heaven Fell, which we didn't watch. So, but the ones we did pick, so we kind of like, co-picked them together. Like, oh, I really want to watch that one. And you're like, oh, let's do this one. Yeah. So we picked them. So the 6 that we picked, and when we do this, we don't just pick random 6. We have to make sure that they actually fit into the time that we're seeing them. And it's funny because
we miss trailers every time.
Right.
We're squeaking them in. Okay?
So usually we've been doing drive-ins the last. Well, we didn't get to do a drive-in this time because this is February, so the drive-ins were closed in Minnesota. And so what? But the movie starts. Like, the earliest film was at 10 o'clock was the Gazebo. The theater opened at 9:45 in the morning.
Yep.
So we got to start right away and see movies. So
there were cartoon shorts. We're not going to talk about those.
The Gazebo was the first one that we saw. So that was Operation Petticoat, a Blake Edwards comedy with Cary Grant and Tony Curtis. Mm-hmm. Journey to the Center of the Earth, Jules Verne sci-fi epic. Jack the Ripper, a low-budget British horror film, slasher film. The CAINE Mutiny, which was nominated for Best Picture in 1954. So this is an older film that had a re-release in 1960.
Yes.
So 1954.
This is the oldest one.
Right. And then the Ladykillers, which was also 1955. I don't think it actually got a U.S. release until 56.
Oh, okay.
But again, this was still an older film that was still out here.
That is the second oldest.
Right.
CAINE Mutiny was a year before that.
Right, but there's still, I mean, since we're from 2022, they all seem like they're the same year anyways. So it's
they're all 50s. Yeah.
They're all within a few years of each other.
One of them certainly feels much older than the other ones. We'll get to it.
Oh yeah, okay. It's funny. Out of all these ones that I picked, like I wanted to watch Operation Petticoat again because I've seen it before. I've never seen the CAINE Mutiny, and you kind of like, oh, let's watch a Bogart movie.
Yeah.
And Ladykillers, it's funny because when we did on my birthday, we did Murder by Death, and we're like, because we loved Alec Guinness in that so much, we're like, he did comedies when he first started. So I'm like, we got to see one of his early comedies. And we ended up being able to see one, so it was great. So I'm glad we got to watch it.
I don't want to make any reviews of it just yet.
No, I was just excited.
In order.
I meant it was great that we saw it.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
no, it's great.
And then Jack the Ripper,
we saw it. I didn't say it was
right,
great.
right.
You'll find out in like an hour and a half.
Jack the Ripper, you were like, oh, let's go see Jack the Ripper.
I wanted to see a foreign film, but it's the most cheaty foreign film. It's all in English.
Right.
Okay,
it's British, yeah. And so
an American guy.
That was the one I knew the least about, to be honest. That one.
I knew.
And then
I heard of Jack the Ripper.
And then you picked Journey to Center of the Earth, which I've seen when I was like 8, and I don't. Really
saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This is the only one I had seen.
And really, the only reason why we picked the Gazebo was because it was 10 o'clock.
It was 10
there
o'clock.
Really wasn't a reason why we picked it. That was it.
But when I saw the stars, I'm like, I've never heard of this movie, but I'm interested.
Yeah. I've heard of it. So I used to work at Hollywood Video back in the 90s, and I remember seeing like the box art, and it's really just like the two actors like making kissy faces at each other.
Kissy? I don't think they ever kiss in the movie, but okay.
No, right? Yeah, no, it's just yeah.
It's
so
not
anyways,
a romance movie.
No, so well, it's kind of like it looks like it's like marketed as a romantic comedy, like a Doris Day, Rock Hudson movie.
It's a comedy.
So, anyways. The first movie is The Gazebo. We're jump right into it. So the first one we saw at 10 a.m. was The Gazebo.
Yes.
It's starring Glenn Ford, Debbie Reynolds, and Carl Reiner.
Before he was a director. Who else was in it?
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau was in it.
Yeah,
there we go.
This is directed by George Marshall. Now, George Marshall has been a director since the early 30s, and he started directing early. Now, this is more in my wheelhouse. He directed a lot of Laurel and Hardy shorts. And
okay.
Yeah, and he actually directed a feature called "Pack Up Your Troubles" with Laurel and Hardy.
Because there is some like physical humor stuff in here
for sure
that I found
he also directed
really funny.
He also directed that Martin and Lewis movie "Scared Stiff" that we didn't go see.
Screw you! Don't bring up movies that I didn't see. I wanted to go see.
So he directed that, but he's actually an actor too. Like he played the bad guy in one of the Laurel and Hardy movies that he used.
Oh, okay.
So he's a really interesting character. So The Gazebo. So this movie was based off of a Broadway play.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I did not know. I
could kind of tell watching it.
Yeah.
They whenever they do that for these movies, you can tell.
Yeah.
Because it mostly takes place in one space. They'll like go to another thing, but it's still in one room when they're there. And then
right. So they get So The Gazebo. Yeah. It kind of if you look at this cover now, it kind of looks like. I mean, you got that, but
it does look like he's all getting all smoochy moochy and she's there.
It's like it looks like to me when I saw this poster, it looks like a Doris Day, Rock Hudson type of movie. Right?
It does.
A screwball comedy.
Yes.
That's not what this is.
There's some screwball-y things.
No, but I wouldn't call it a romantic screwball comedy.
There's literally, I would say, zero romance in this novel. I mean, they're already married.
Yeah,
they're a married couple.
Yeah.
Okay?
So Glenn Ford plays a television producer for kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock Presents type show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We see that in the beginning. They never really mention it again, but
right. Well, what's really neat?
It's
neat.
Neat.
Well, I'll go there. So I'll just do an overview of it.
Yeah.
So he's a television producer, and the thing is, he is being blackmailed by this guy who claims that he has nude pictures of his wife, who she did a photo shoot when she was 18 years old.
You don't actually find out. You find out he's being blackmailed. You don't find out what the blackmailing is about until
halfway through the movie.
Halfway through the movie or so.
And so you're like, oh, that's why he's getting blackmailed. But he doesn't tell his wife about it, Debbie Reynolds, who's now kind of a popular Broadway star.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want it to ruin her career. He pays the guy off, but then the thing is, he keeps on asking for more money. But then he gets the idea to maybe I should kill him off, and he kind of plays with the idea of doing it. And then
it's mostly because his friend Carl Reiner,
who plays he's like kind of the DA.
He's
right?
the DA or an assistant DA.
Yeah.
He shows up and he's talking to his friend Glenn Ford, whatever his character name is. Okay, he's talking to him. And he's saying, I watched one of your shows, and it's not very realistic. That guy would never get away with murder.
Yeah.
Here's how he should get away with murder.
And then that was giving him ideas.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
I could murder that guy.
Right.
What a perfect thing.
Yeah.
Okay, surprise spoiler alert.
Yeah.
This is a 1959 movie where the lead character murders somebody and gets away scot-free. Okay?
Kind of murders.
That guy is dead because of him.
That's true.
That is murder.
That's true. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely a dark comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And back when like dark comedies weren't a huge super thing. I mean,
it's.
I
guess you would call it a dark comedy.
But it doesn't. I mean, it
isn't edgy,
and it doesn't have. And it doesn't have a sinister tone or anything.
It does not.
Well, that's what's interesting about it because it kind of has the screwball comedy tone, but with this murder.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So he gets this idea to do it, but he's gonna bury the body in the gazebo because his wife just gets this gazebo. Didn't know what the gazebo is.
They talk about how much it costs, and I'm like. That actually sounds like what I would assume a gazebo would cost even now. I think they paid a lot of goddamn money for that thing, okay? Because their entire house, they can offer it, because he's trying to get money to pay off the thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to literally sell the house. There's a whole comic gag that he is trying to sell the house. She doesn't want to sell the house, so he's like sabotaging the house.
Yeah.
He's like messing with the plumbing and
the door handles.
You can't open the doors anymore and stuff.
Yeah, and what's great about that too is because the wife she's like, oh yeah, why this doesn't work, and then later on she's talking to Carl Reiner, like, yeah, he's sabotaging the house. She knows he's doing it.
Yeah, that's okay. Here's one of the more interesting things about this movie.
Yeah,
this is 1959.
Yeah,
they are fully partners in this marriage. There's never that bullshit that you would see. I would think in that time where he's like regretting that she has a job.
No,
and stuff like that.
No.
They don't want kids.
They have a pretty healthy relationship.
But
in the
they
movie.
also don't seem to have any interest in kids.
No,
she loves that she's famous.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to tell you, there's one musical number in this, okay?
In the beginning, when
they show her musical number from Broadway, and I'm like,
you didn't like that?
She's fucking famous. I mean, I know it's Debbie Reynolds and she's good.
Oh, I thought it was
fucking Debbie Reynolds.
I think it's fine.
But that whole thing was like, is this a TV movie? Because it's like her and like two guys, and they just dance around on. There's like a table there.
Yeah.
That's the entire thing. And I'm
I thought it was fun.
And then she was like singing the song later, and I'm like, you like that song? That song was terrible. Whatever. Okay.
Now the movie opens with it kind of has this one shot, and it kind of like a thriller. Well, it has this cute little animated sequence in the beginning, right? And then
animated credits
there
always makes a good movie better, as far as I'm concerned.
Did Let It Ride have an animated sequence? I don't know.
No, because it sucked.
Okay,
I can't remember. A lot of that movie.
Okay, so it was the gazebo. So it starts off. There's one shot. This guy walks in, and then he like. There's a guy like sitting on this chair.
That's how it opens as a.
So you think it's a thriller?
It's a fooler.
Right, you didn't know what it is. You're like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, the guy falls down, and then it pans over to Glenn Ford in the control room, and he's like, why can't I get an actor that can stand his 2 feet?
He's completely manic at this point. He's insane.
And he's like, what's going on here?
And you find out later he's insane because he's under stress from blackmail.
What's interesting, because you get to see kind of behind the scenes because it's live television, so it wasn't like they're cutting for later.
That's right. This is 59 television.
So they're like,
live.
Okay, camera 1, 2, camera 3. Oh my God, camera 2, do something. You go over here and you shoot this, and it was pretty funny. So what's interesting about this movie is that, so I'm going to say right now, this movie surprised the fuck out of me.
Oh, I found it surprisingly fun.
I think this movie's awesome.
It started out, and then when it switched to him being a TV thing, and I'm like, oh, that was fun.
Well,
and then his acting of this insanity, I thought was going to be irritating. I just loved it.
The first 10 or 15 minutes, I'm like, I really like this movie. Like, is it going to be good? This good through the whole movie?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good through the whole movie.
So Glenn Ford in this movie. So this movie seems like that.
I'm now a big fan of Glenn Ford from this movie.
So George Marshall directed it. This seems like, what if it seemed like a Billy Wilder movie. Billy Wilder did The Apartment and Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, those are still a little bit.
But it's
those feel like they have bigger budgets. Maybe.
But it's what if Billy Wilder directed an Alfred Hitchcock Presents?
Oh God,
that's what this feels like.
That's what we're going to talk about. Alfred Hitchcock is a character in this movie.
Yeah,
but Alfred Hitchcock's not in this movie.
No. So we'll get into that in a second. But first, I want to talk about Glenn Ford. So Glenn Ford, this movie. So Glenn Ford, I've only known him from. I've seen him in some film noir. I've seen him in all dramatic work. He was in Superman the movie. He played Clark Kent's dad.
But Jonathan Kent.
He's also and he's also in The Big Heat, which is a 1953 really cool film noir movie. And I've seen him in a couple other movies, but only in dramatic roles. So when I was like, oh, he's going to be in this comedy, And
he's funny as hell. He's the reason this movie works.
This role seems to have been Taylor written for Jack Lemmon.
Oh, and you know something? You're right.
Right.
It feels like
a Jack Lemmon role.
I think he's great.
Glenn Ford knocks it out of the park.
Fucking awesome.
He is so funny in this movie. I'm like, why wasn't he in more comedies? Because he's so good in it.
I'm assuming if we look through it, we would find more
comedies. I did look, and he is in a few more that I haven't heard of. Okay. But he did a few, but yeah, mostly dramatic work. But his comic timing, his body language, he's so good doing like the slapstick stuff, falling over. I thought he was terrific in the movie. Debbie Reynolds, she's good. This is Glenn Ford's movie.
She's Debbie Reynolds in this.
Yeah, no, she's good.
Here's the thing. She's like playing older.
Yeah.
She's like wearing outfits to make her look old.
Because she was like 27, 28.
At most. Yeah. Okay, she was like mid-20s, but I think she's playing like 35.
Yeah.
Okay? She's playing like she's been a Broadway star for a long time and stuff like that. And that was the thing that I found, like I said earlier. This is a modern movie in many ways. They're partners. They don't want kids.
Yeah.
He has no problem with this.
Yeah.
Now, the only real issue is, and they actually kind of bring it up, sort of, he doesn't tell her that he's doing this to pay this thing off and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Later on, he finds out she's known about the blackmail.
Yeah.
She didn't know that he was being blackmailed.
Yeah.
The guy actually contacted her first.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, it'd be great. Go ahead and show those pictures. I will be 100 times more famous because there'll be naked pictures of me floating around. And I'm like, holy shit, this movie's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. I liked that point of view of that. It was really cool. But yeah, I think the direction's really good. It's beautiful black and white widescreen photography. It looks really nice.
It actually does look nice.
It's a really nice.
It's good. Nice is a movie that was a play, so there's not really scenic things.
But they use good use of the frame, and I think it's really good.
Most of the movie takes place in their house,
right?
When he murders the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy comes in. So this is about halfway through the movie when the murder happens. So obviously spoilers. When the murder happens, he comes in, and he's before the guy comes in, he's planning it all out. He's like, okay, he's gonna come in here.
He writes it down.
Yeah.
As like a list of do's and don'ts.
And there's a great montage sequence of him like buying all the
stuff.
Don't
write this down, you moron! You're gonna get caught.
Remember, there's this montage sequence of him buying all the things, like the shovel and the thing.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
So he's planning on doing this, and he's actually really excited about it. And
he's so happy. I get to murder somebody.
And so he's got his gun ready, and he has this tarp out. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna shoot the guy. He's gonna fall in the tarp. So when the guy comes in and he shoots him, and the guy's like flailing around, and it just cuts to Glenn Ford going, like making these facial expressions and going, no, on the tarp, you know?
Yeah.
And it was so funny of him.
I call that body English.
Body English, where he's doing the body language.
Oh, move this way. It's like when you're golfing. You hit it, you're like, you want it to go left?
Yeah.
You're like, start moving your body left. That's what he's doing the whole scene.
And that was
funny as hell.
It was really funny, yeah.
But the guy's dead.
Yeah.
It gets funnier after that.
Yeah.
When there's a dead guy in there.
Well, and then then he puts the tarp over, and then the tarp rips when he's trying to get it up.
Yep.
And just like nothing's going right.
The whole shower curtain stuff that comes back into play. This movie,
because he hates the shower curtain,
surprisingly got like levels of writing.
Yeah,
I actually really like this movie.
So Hitchcock, his thing in the thing was, so his character in the movie, Glenn Ford, is writing the next Hitchcock movie.
Yes.
And so Hitch kind of calls him up. Is like, hey, how's the script going?
Mid-murder.
The
guy's dead, but he has to try to get rid of the body.
But he doesn't, like, something came up and he doesn't know what to do. So he asks Hitchcock.
The like landscaping guy who's doing the stuff takes his shovel.
Yes.
So he hasn't got a shovel to bury the guy.
Yeah.
And so he asked Alfred Hitchcock, what would happen in this, say, a murder where the guy lost his shovel? Okay.
Because I'm writing that in the script, so how do we fix that? And so Hitchcock is helping him with the murder unwittingly over the phone, which is...
You don't hear Hitchcock.
No.
One side voice thing.
But it works. It's so funny.
Which is he calls him Hitch.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone did, I think, was called him Hitch. But, and the guy who played I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who did play the landscaper, he was great.
Yeah, he's a TV. He's been.
No, I've seen him in tons of movies.
Tons of movies and TV. He was.
What's his name? Was it Sam? It's John McGiver, I think. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's him.
He's awesome.
He's been in so many things.
But he's British, and but he has that droll, even more than he usually is. He just kind of delivers his line.
Just like,
do you want a drink? Oh, I guess I'm
trying to go and get in the house or something. There's a dead body in there, so don't go in the house.
Yeah, Carl Reiner's good too.
I guess Carl Reiner.
Yeah. I mean,
it was so. I didn't know. I knew Glenn Ford and Debbie Reynolds. I didn't know Carl Reiner. He shows up like early, and I'm like, Carl Reiner's in this movie.
You know what we haven't talked about? The Pigeon.
Yes, that's right. There's this ongoing storyline early on where he's in a cab. Glenn Ford is,
and they hit a pigeon.
A bird. He gets out, rescues this pigeon. Okay, here's the crazy thing. Here's the weird thing about this movie.
They named it
okay,
yeah.
This movie takes place in 2 days.
Yeah.
It starts off, he murders the guy that night, okay? The next day, somehow, they have poured concrete for this thing. It's all gotten hard because he buried the guy underneath.
But it's still coming undone, though, because of the rain. It's not complete.
But then they're going to have a picnic on there. I'm like, you got to wait like 2 days, idiots. That's not how concrete works.
Right.
Oh, whatever. It's a movie.
Well, yeah. And...
But it's also pouring rain.
But
like
the pigeon stuff was cute too. Like the
pigeon stuff, it's like in there to try to show that he would never hurt. He would never harm even a bird. But he's so excited about murdering this guy.
So right, and so now this is spoilers. So it turns out that he actually didn't murder him. So this is how he gets away with it. This is how he gets away with it.
My thing is, he didn't hit him when he shot him. But the guy had a heart attack because he just got shot at. Okay?
Yeah, right. So he finds out that his bullet is hit the book behind him in the bookshelf. Yeah. But the guy had a heart condition, so he had a heart attack because. So yes, he still did it, but there's no proof of or anything like that.
That's what happens. They basically get rid of the bullet, which is in the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Because then there's no proof. I'm like, there's bullet holes. Okay, but whatever. Okay, there's no more bullet to compare to the gun. Okay.
Yeah, but
which the bird grabs it and flies away. At the last thing that happens in the movie is the bird drops it onto the cop's hat.
Yeah.
And the cop just assumes the bird shit on it.
Yes.
And so he throws the hat away and leaves. And
that's it.
So I'm like, wow. This movie ends with that guy thinking a bird shit on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I feel like this is a movie that I don't hear talk about at all. And I think this movie,
had never heard of this.
This movie needs to be rediscovered, and it's for me. Movies like this. This is the reason why I'm doing the podcast.
This is the reason This is the real reason I'm your friend. So you can make me watch these movies that I assume would be shitty, and I'm like, oh, it's fun.
And remember, the only reason why we picked it because it starts at 10.
Like, that was lit. It was the only one that started that early. Only one that even started before noon, I think.
And we're like, let's go see that, I guess.
Sure. Okay.
And wow, what a surprise! Like I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 4. I love this movie. I thought
I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
Three's pretty good. I mean, it's not the best thing ever.
Yeah, I guess I was just surprised by it. So
maybe I'll have to rewatch it. But that
really
musical number in the beginning was so fucking shitty.
Oh, I didn't bother. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I still
liked it. Just standard is maybe what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's just by the numbers. And I'm like, I guess that's what they're going for. They're not going to put the most elaborate thing in the world 5 minutes into this movie and then you'll never talk about it again.
But no, yeah. So Gazebo is definitely a movie I like. You can rent it on Amazon. It's available. You can watch it. Like if you like older comedies, this is a good one. It's funny and it's a little dark.
It's fun. It's got
not sinister, but it's a little twisted, just a little bit.
There's when he murders the guy and he's staggering around and stuff. I was just like that. I was laughing. I was laughing.
Yeah,
it was funny.
It was really funny.
There was funny stuff, and I was not. This is the heart of the code. 1959.
Oh yeah.
And this guy got away with murder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess they can cheat that code sometimes as long as you like the
guy.
It's kind of
this it's kind of like a nice, light, fun movie, and it has this light tone to it. But yeah, no, Gazebo's great. So next movie that we saw, it's weird because after we saw this, I'm just like, man, we're gonna go watch Operation Petticoat, which is another comedy. Like, how much can we laugh? So this is Operation Petticoat. Blake Edwards directed. This is one of his early films. So he started as a screenwriter, and then he became a director for hire, directing movies, and then he started writing and directing his movies. He went on to direct The Pink Panther, The Great Race, The 10, S.O.B. He's directed, he
was a huge name for like 20 years.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, he directed 2 years later, or 1 year later.
He directed that?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's right. That movie, Okay, we're not talking about breakfast, but
You're talking about
that is heavily
racist.
Well, it's also restructured from the novel.
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Well,
it's a very different thing.
It is different. Yeah. But so this is Operation.
Hey, Truman Capote's back in our podcast. Yay!
No, he's not. We're not doing that movie.
I know.
Okay.
But we talked about his movie just now.
We did.
Okay.
So, but Blake Edwards didn't write this one, so it was actually written by 2 other guys.
Yeah.
So this is a World War II, takes place in World War II. Cary Grant, Tony Curtis. It actually starts off with Tony.
This is the first of our World War II naval movies.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So this one, Cary Grant. This one's a little lighter, a little bit. So Cary Grant is this captain of a submarine, and he used to be captain of this one sub, and it starts off with him going to visit it because it's going to go to the shipyard or whatever.
Like the first half hour of this is pretty boring.
Really?
Before they leave. Okay, and they're they're laying the groundwork that the Tony Curtis character is essentially a criminal who works for the Navy.
Right. So Cary Grant. So what happens is, so they have this little the whole movie's a flashback of him reminiscing, looking at his captain's log, and so Cary Grant is reminiscing, and so he's captain of the sub, and he's got all these people.
He's an admiral now.
Yeah,
that's right.
But now he's the sub captain. And what happens is they get attacked by some ships, and the submarine gets sunk.
The base gets
attacked, and their sub gets destroyed.
This is 3 days after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, it was 1941.
Yeah, it's like December 10th, I think. Is what
yeah.
December 10th. Look at that, number 10.
So what he does is he talks to the captain. He's like, hey, I want to get my sub back up. He's like, no, we're going to send it to the scrapyard. He's like, no, please let me get it going. He convinces him, but a lot of his crew's gone, so he gets some replacements. Tony Curtis is one of the replacements.
Yes.
And they butt some heads a little bit because Tony Curtis is kind of this guy. He's a freeloader that doesn't want to do any work, pretty much, and he's a con artist a little bit, and he's the guy that's going to set up the poker games. He
100% thinks he's better than everybody else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's literally a thief. He hires a thief, and he ends up being the supply officer, and they're like, hey, we need this and this. He's like, you know what, I can get that. And then they're literally paint themselves in they put black on their face, and they're going to go rob.
Yeah, it's not blackface.
It's not blackface.
It's just camouflage.
Yeah.
Okay, it's dark camouflage.
Yep. And they go in to literally rip off the supply shop.
Like I said, he's a criminal.
He is a criminal.
And periodically you say, hey, you, Tony Curtis, go steal some stuff for us. Because we need some stuff. That happens at numerous points in the movie.
Yeah, they do. What's funny, because Cary Grant's kind of against it, but then at one point he's like, you know what, just go do your thing.
Just go do it. Just don't tell me about it, okay?
Right. I didn't find the first half hour boring. It just wasn't loaded with jokes or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
I'm
just
not
setting everything
bad.
up.
It's just that once they went out, I found it much more interesting.
Right.
And there were actual stuff that I found actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Some of the early stuff was just, it wasn't, they were trying to be funny. It wasn't working.
I think the movie's generally funny all around, I think. Yeah. I think it's pretty funny. But so with this, how it starts, usually for comedies and stuff, they just focus on the comedy. But the beginning, the ship attack, there's some pretty good shots, and the explosions are holy shit. Yeah. It looks really big budget.
There are other times where they get attacked by friendly fire, and it's tense.
Yeah.
Later on. This is much later in the movie.
But that opening.
Okay, anybody who hasn't listened before, the way I'm going to do this, he's going to mention a thing. I'm going to talk about a thing that happened an hour and a half later, and then we're going to go back to him.
That's exactly what's happening. We're time traveling even that way.
Yep.
So, but no, but that opening with the ship getting destroyed, I thought that was great. I thought that opened really well. And I think it's because Cary Grant and Tony Curtis are such class acts. They're so good.
They were good. The Tony Curtis character, I hated his guts.
Oh, is it not as much as Richard Dreyfuss?
I didn't hate the criminal stuff as much. Yeah. I hated the way he treats the women who show up later.
Oh, of course.
Boy, does he.
So the big thing.
He's a skeevy turd.
So the big thing in this movie is that it's kind of an ensemble piece. You have all these little weird characters and stuff in the movie. They introduce all these different people, like the engine room guy, all that stuff. And then, here's the cat.
I think I heard some mew mews.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be mad that we're doing this. So what? But then they're at an island, and they find some stranded officers who are female. They're female officers.
Yes.
And they like, well, and of course,
They're like
Tony Curtis.
For some, I can't remember.
Well, Tony Curtis has like, come on board, and Carrie Grant's like, no, what are you doing? And Tony Curtis is like,
Tony Curtis was sent ashore, and he comes back with a bunch of women. He hasn't like asked permission.
No, he just comes and like, come on aboard, and Carrie Grant's like, what are you doing? So he comes on, and of course, I mean, this is 1959. That takes place in 1941, so you're gonna have a bunch of sexist comments on like, well, women shouldn't belong.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, though. Like I said, the previous movie didn't do any of that shit.
No. But for me, it makes sense for the time.
Oh no, 100%.
So I'm not gonna.
It takes place in the middle of World War II. The only people of color on the ship are servants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing with CAINE Mutiny as well.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the comedy comes from the women on the ship, but the women are actually. I mean, I actually liked the characters.
Oh no,
I
didn't completely hate them.
I thought they're good, especially the older one too, who's in the engine room, and then she kind of has that little romance with the other engine room guy who hates her. But
yeah.
So I thought that was.
Okay. At the end of this, we're doing it again. Here's an hour and a half from now. At the end of this, it's revealed there were like 5 women, right?
Yeah.
2 of the women, one of them ends up marrying the Cary Grant character, and one ends up marrying the Tony Curtis character.
Right.
Okay? And we assume the other ones got married. They don't really mention it, okay?
No, I think Blake Edwards, he's a really good comedy director. I think all the jokes are for me, I thought the jokes landed. I think I laughed, and when I wasn't laughing, I was smiling. I'm like, this is a fun movie. Like, I think it's fun. And then there's a scene in the movie where they're gonna paint, they're putting a new coat of paint on the submarine, but they only had red and white, and they had to put it together, and it was pink. So they have a pink submarine, which I think is great too.
That is like happens in like the last 20 minutes of the movie,
right?
Or no, more than that, because that's when they get attacked.
Yeah.
Because they just assume that super vibrant submarine is some type of bullshit trick. Okay,
right. So I thought it was fun.
Attack that sub.
But I like some of the humor, like with Cary Grant. Like, there's that one girl who, because I guess she's a little busty, when she's
got bosoms,
right? And when and she's going through, like, because the compartments or the hallways are really narrow, right?
Yeah.
So when they're going through, they're like, almost touching everyone and sideways. And it's funny because Cary Grant is like, okay, everyone, when this girl passes through, everybody stand aside and
give her a wide berth. I think is what it says. Okay.
So I mean, some of the little humor and like,
but that's the one he marries.
Yeah. And
wait, is she?
Yeah,
she's the klutzy one
that
too,
is,
right?
Yeah.
She's got all the character traits.
Yeah.
She's bosomy.
I actually like that last shot too, when that's my wife, and hits the car.
Yeah, she's the fact that she's alive. Okay.
Yeah.
She almost gets the whole submarine.
She's so curvy. She keeps curvy, so she keeps on hitting stuff with her hips and stuff. Of course,
her boobs knock stuff over. Okay, whatever. But no, the one that Tony Curtis is hitting on, the other hot one. They're all like that. Okay? They're all attractive. Yeah. Okay. He hits on her in the most skeevy, like getting up to her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I feel like she's just like hating this. And then she talks about how much she likes him and she thinks she's in love. And I'm like, the fuck? You don't look like you like him. You look like you want him to die.
Yeah.
It does not come off at all that she's enjoying this. There's no chemistry in that.
That's the only part of the movie where I'm like, ooh, just that part. Thankfully, it doesn't take up the whole movie. So,
Cary Grant's character, I'm never going to know fucking character names in any of these episodes, people. Okay, unless it's Marty McFly or Luke Skywalker,
Commander Sherman,
and we're not doing those movies. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Okay. When he sees the Tony Curtis hitting on her, he tries to put a stop on it.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want anything like that to happen.
Yeah,
he is trying to stop anybody from ogling the girls.
Well, Tony Curtis is like, oh, he's auctioning them off. Well, he actually auctioned them, like, to give them their shirts or something.
Yes, because they all the women only have like one set of clothing.
Yeah.
And so they're like, you can use mine. And I'm like, it's a shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, she's wearing a shirt I used to wear. Who cares? You freaking idiots.
So I probably liked it more than you. I actually really liked it.
I didn't completely hate it.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, I don't like the way the Tony Curtis character hits on her.
Yeah.
But I liked the way they had a character who was, because at one point, he's literally, you have to stay in your room. A room on a submarine. So you're like in a room that's like 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
He's stuck in there for And this takes place over months.
Yeah.
Actually, it's in December. It doesn't end until, I think, till like after D-Day.
Right.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah. So it starts in 1941. They had this thing going until 44. It's right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that they have the women on there that whole time, but whatever. Okay, you can drop them off at some place. They try at one point to drop them off, and they're like, "You got to keep them, because we can't keep those women here.
Yeah. There's going to be a battle or something, or we're going to a mountain or something.
Yeah, there's some reason. I mean, it's actually a legit reason. Nope, you got to keep them. Okay, they're actually safer under the water in your sub.
No, I think
on this ship, on this island that's going to explode.
So when I saw this movie like 15 years ago, and I loved it. I didn't like it as much as I did the first time, because the first time I saw it, I loved it. I'm like, oh, it's a masterpiece. It's a really good piece of comedy.
Okay.
And now I think it's just a fun piece of movie.
It's not. I liked Gazebo more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I'm gonna give this a strong 3. I actually really liked it, so it's a 3.
I'll go with a 2.5.
Okay. I actually really like it. I think it's a fun movie.
This one is the first one of these movies, because it's actually going to happen in the other naval one. But there's a whole bunch of people that went on to having pretty good careers.
Yeah.
This has Gavin MacLeod, who went on to Mary Tyler Moore Show and The Love Boat. Okay. This also has Marion Ross from Happy Days and Dick Sargent from Bewitched. All these people went on to big TV careers.
Yeah.
But they were in this movie. Okay?
You know what's interesting too about this movie, that they in the 70s they had a TV show for like one season.
I heard about that.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in it.
Oh, okay.
She was one of the people in it.
What movies I was watching to some friends, because we check what we after we're done with
John Astin was in Cary Grant's role.
That's right. Oh God, that's right. I think I did read.
Yeah,
about
this
that.
is it.
And a friend of mine told me about that, and I kind of looked it up.
Yeah, there's Jamie Lee Curtis right there. Yeah.
Here's the thing: I didn't look up very much. I just saw the John Astin.
Yeah.
I'm going to also go into these trying to not know anything.
Right.
At all. Okay.
So Operation Petticoat. So you thought it was okay? Like it's not.
I thought
it was passable.
There's things in it that I really found fun.
Yeah.
And other things that rubbed me kind of the wrong way.
Right. And so, I agree. The Tony Curtis part. That's the only part that kind of bothers me. Other than that, I actually really like that
romance, and the fact that at the end the romances have all worked out. And I'm like, fuck this bullshit.
Okay? But yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a good movie, and Blake Edwards knocks it out of the park as far as his direction's really good. So, next movie we went to go see Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is based off of Jules Verne classic novel.
This is the only one of these I had seen before.
Yeah, and I saw it too, but it was kind of like watching it for the first time. I remembered like maybe 2 or 3 segments.
I don't think I remembered a single thing about this movie.
I
just knew I had seen it. I remembered the lizards at the end. Okay.
And so it was interesting. So the movie starts off with the titles and the music by Bernard Herrmann, who did all of the Hitchcock scores. So the music is pretty dang good in this movie.
The music's not bad. Yeah. Although Pat Boone is in it, so they have to give him some singing.
Oh my
okay.
God. We'll get into that.
Here's the thing. Pat Boone can sing. As a matter of fact, in this, he doesn't try to sing rock and roll music.
No.
Because it takes place in the 1880s.
Right.
He has to sing contemporary. I'm like, he could sing. I just wish he would only sing that shit instead of like trying to be all black. You know what I'm saying?
James Mason plays this professor who has theories or whatever about the center of the earth. Kind of.
It's mostly... He doesn't seem to really mention anything about center of the earth stuff until he gets that thing.
Oh, right. He gets the right,
which is just completely like, here's a rock, and inside this rock is evidence that the earth is basically got a center.
Right.
That you can go to.
Right. And Pat Boone is kind of like his student or whatever, his mentor. You know?
Yeah.
And so... And then they have the subplot with Pat Boone, and he's like, "Oh, he's gonna get married to
this
his
is the
niece?
first one of these movies where there's a romance subplot that doesn't need to be there, and who gives a fuck?
No, James Mason is his niece, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's James Mason's niece.
Yeah,
and Pat Boone is the guy that she likes, and for the first time in one of these movies today, just like we're gonna say, she is mad at him because of things that he has no control over her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, lady.
They end up going on an expedition to go to the center.
They go to Iceland.
They go to Iceland.
Iceland, because he has a rock that was from a volcano in Iceland that has like a message in it, sort of.
Yeah.
It has like a thing in it that had some engravings, but it was from the center of the earth. So it's like, that's from Atlantis, because apparently it's from Atlantis.
Well, apparently there's someone else that's trying to do the same expedition, like a rivals.
He sends the thing out to a different guy, and the guy never hears back from him, because that guy goes, oh, look, I'm going to go there first.
Right. And so what happens is they get knocked unconscious while they're in Iceland, and then they get locked in this room together, and then in kind of a cute scene with
I loved the scene.
The little duck thing.
They were trying to use Morse code,
because so
on the other side of the door.
Well, they're in this wall and they hear some like tapping, like it's Morse code. I'm like, hey, someone else is captured here too. They're using Morse code, and then it cuts and it's literally like a goose.
Yeah, and they also do movie Morse code where the duck will hit like 3 things, and he goes, "Oh, that means a 75-word sentence." Like, no, that was half a word, half a letter.
Well, then they had this the guy that's there, the Iceland guy or Swedish. He looks like a big Swede.
Yeah, that's because he's. I mean, I suspect they might have just got an Icelandic guy.
Yeah.
He was like 6'2",
right?
Which for that time means he's like 8'3".
Right. Okay? So he got. So they get this guy, and he kind of helps him out to go along with the journey. So a little bit, and so. So basically what it is, they're going to the center of the earth, and what are they trying to find evidence, or what are they trying to do when they're actually going down there?
Well,
like, what are they going to do when they get there?
He literally just says, oh, now we found that this guy, this is a dude who did this like 300 years earlier.
Yeah.
Okay? Who found an entrance to the passages that take you to the center of the earth.
Right.
Now, one of the weirder things about this is, we just talked about a rival scientist.
Yeah.
That's not the bad guy in this movie. That scientist gets murdered by some dude in Iceland, and the Icelandic guy is the bad guy.
Yeah, he was almost like his assistant or something. It was like weird.
Yeah, but that guy was like royalty or something. Yeah. Icelandic royalty.
I actually like that actor.
Actually, that was interesting. I found it interesting because it was not who I expected. The bad guy. I'm like, because they find the original bad guy, the guy we used to assume, his body.
Yeah,
he's been murdered, but that original guy's wife shows up.
Yeah,
and she makes herself say, I'm going to give you the information to go, but I'm going with you. And there's all this like,
oh, you're a woman.
Movie,
you can't
I can't bring a woman with me.
Yeah, well, 1959.
By the way,
what are you gonna do?
They end up getting married, but there's no romance in this movie.
No,
they only get married at the end because they are people of the same age. Okay, as far as I can tell, we're both in our 50s. We best get married. Now.
She must probably like 40s.
She's playing. Yeah, she's probably like 43.
Yeah.
Actually, she's Hollywood. She looks like she's 43. She's 27.
It was, So then there's a lot of adventures. There's, they go find there's neat stones and backgrounds and crystals.
A huge portion of this movie takes place underground. In tunnels.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty good.
So you mean the special effects?
There's so many sets in this that are different.
It kind of. So we just did. Last week we did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and this is the best part about this movie is the sets. The sets in this film, just like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, are the
phenomenal sets in this movie.
Yeah. And then towards the end, they start getting into the lizards and the dinosaurs.
Yes.
And it's kind of fun to watch.
I watched it and I'm like, oh yeah, I had remembered them as old school stop motion one. I'm like, oh no, that's right. They just took lizards and put like fins on their head and called them
monsters, and then they
dinosaur.
have trick photography to make them look bigger.
Works fine.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it works.
I believe this was nominated for best visual effects.
Yes. Also,
best art direction
animals
as well, too.
were harmed in the making of this movie because some of those lizards they put them in like tar and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That lizard did not get out of that alive. That's right. They threw things at him. They threw spears, which obviously ended up being toothpicks or whatever. Yeah. But they hit him. Yeah. And they were stuck in there, and you could see him hit. And I'm like, fuck! They shot that thing.
And then it ends with them, of course, getting away, and then
they get away because there's an eruption that they sort of caused.
Yeah,
and they're riding like this weird.
And they also find Atlantis.
This weird Atlantis boat. It's not a boat. It's like a big bowl that they get in, and it like moves along. It's funny. It's like the eruption happens. The boat like slowly moves until it goes into the hole, and then it shoots up. And then they have been underground for like 2 years.
Yeah,
in this for months and months. They start in Iceland. They end up in Italy, I think.
Yeah,
they have traveled very far. And they also claim at the end that when they're in Atlantis, he says, "This is the center of the Earth." And I'm like, it's not the center of the Earth. That would take you a decade to walk to the center of the Earth down basically stairs, okay? Also, there wouldn't be gravity. No, it doesn't make any sense. You're like 3 miles underground, okay?
The special effects and stuff are cool. That's the best part about the movie. I didn't like much else in it, to be honest.
Okay. This is a big difference. I actually enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Good.
And actually, it was Pat Boone, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't know. I thought Pat Boone was fine.
I didn't like him at all in the movie. I thought he was really bland. I think it was really boring.
I mean, it was Pat Boone.
I was like, look at my thumb.
Oh, it's Pat Boone. I'm not expecting.
And he has his shirt off. Look at my thumbtack nipples. Like, look at that. It's great. And it's like,
quit looking at Pat Boone's nipples. Okay? Pat Boone was the eye candy of this, although that Icelandic guy was also.
I would consider him more of eye candy.
They all took their shirts off, except for what's her face.
Yeah.
Because they were under. It gets hot.
James Mason is a good actor. I just felt like that. As far as writing,
did this for money.
There aren't. Okay. I didn't feel like there was any compelling characters in the movie, and that was my issue with it.
That's weird because, like, there's the time when the Pat Boone character gets separated because he gets lost.
Yeah.
Because he's an idiot. Okay, whatever. He
was an idiot.
He does truly get lost. But also, there's the scene with the water where it's rising. Loved it. Loved it.
It looked cool.
It's hokey bullshit, and I loved every second of it.
But I didn't care about it. So for example, in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I thought the kids were likable enough for me that I cared what was going on. I didn't really care when things were happening to these people.
Here's the thing. I actually cared about her and the Icelandic guy. If the other two people died, I wouldn't have given that much shit.
I didn't care about her either, really, no.
I liked her. I liked her because she kept calling him out on his bullshit. Okay? And I'm like, good. Fucking call him out. I'm doing this. By the way, I'm probably better at this than you. Okay?
So, I don't know. So, I found it kind of dull and boring, except when I got to look at the stuff. But when the characters started talking, I was just like,
loved this movie.
Oh, okay? I'm glad you did, though.
When they were,
I don't hate this movie.
Basically, I actually I liked the whole movie all the way through.
Okay, I did not
for no reason. Okay, but when that Morse coached it, when shit happened with the goose, I'm like, fuck, this is awesome. I fucking love this more. When they pan and they show it's a goose, and I'm like, awesome. And then this is when the Icelandic guy shows up.
Yeah,
because that goose is a character in this movie. It's Gertrude.
Oh, and then the bad guy eats him.
Yeah, the bad guy gets hungry and eats him.
Was that Icelandic guy pissed off?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he was going to murder him. Which I'm like, why'd they stop him? They had already sentenced the bad guy because he becomes part of the crew.
Well, yeah,
basically,
the bad guy
to a death sentence. Okay,
the bad guy. His death was really funny though. When he just kind of falls off.
Oh yeah. He falls and then rocks fall on him. He's super dead. That dude, you don't need to show us a body. That dude's dead. Also, he's stuck in the center of the earth. So he's super double dead.
So I guess for me, I either wanted it to be better with, at least for me, more compelling characters, or more campy. To me, it was in between.
I guess here's the thing.
It was in between.
I expected it because I knew I loved this as a kid.
Yeah,
but I remembered nothing about it because I am an old man and I saw it literally 45 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw it. I'm going into it and I'm like, I'm gonna hate this movie. This is gonna be so disappointing. And then it starts doing stuff and I'm like, damn, this movie is fun. I'm enjoying the hell out of this movie.
Oh, it's watchable. I'm not mad that I sat through it again and stuff. So I'm probably a little low for you, but I'm at a 2. I'm at a 2.
I'm going to go to a full 3.
Oh,
that's how much I like this movie.
I can see that.
I really I'm glad you liked this movie.
Yeah, I was
expecting to like it. I'm glad I liked it. Because I'm not glad that you liked that piece of shit last time. It's fucking terrible.
Let it ride.
Let it ride. It's basically an ad for the gambling industry. Give us your money. Eventually, you'll be rich.
Only if you're Richard Dreyfuss, though.
He lost it all the next month.
So. He probably did. All right, so that was Journey to the Center of the Earth. Next movie is Jack the Ripper. Again, this is one that I knew nothing about. You just kind of picked it. Like, yeah, it's Jack the Ripper. Like,
well, I saw it on there, and I'm like, it's in the ad. It said, "Watch it now, Jack the Ripper." Like this amazing thing from England. This movie that looks like it's an episode of Doctor Who from 1964.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So it's a black and white movie. It's from 1959. And actually, it did come to America in 1960s. It's an official 1960.
This is a brand new movie for us.
Yeah. Yep. So that was brand new. That was the newest movie that we saw.
What a brand new movie!
So
the height of amazingness.
And this is a fictitious telling of Jack the Ripper.
This is a slasher flick.
Yeah.
Before any slasher flick.
Absolutely. This is a precursor to the slasher. Yeah. And there's no stars in this movie.
There's an American guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell he is.
No, it's like
he shows up. I'm from New York and I want to help you with Jack the Ripper. And I'm like, did you come from New York? Hasn't Jack the Ripper been happening for like a month?
There's no known actors.
5 months to get here.
So it takes place in the late 1800s. The movie opens with a killing.
Look at this. The budget says 50,000
pounds.
This is pre-decimalization, which is pounds were worth $18 trillion. So I don't know what that bucket is.
The movie opens with the slasher scene of him killing either a prostitute or something.
They never use the term prostitute.
No.
They never even so much as say lady in the night. He's killing people who just happen to be women who aren't aristocrats. Because there are aristocratic people in this.
Right.
I called them bitches.
So, but it opens with this kill, and right away, for me anyways, the way they had the camera angles and the lighting, it was like, whoa, this is actually kind of shot kind of stylish. The obtuse angles.
Wow, I didn't like this movie.
Oh, really? I was surprised. I actually like this movie. So, the camera.
I was not going into this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we both get to rip on this shitty movie. And I'm like, goddamn awesome, like it's a bad movie again.
No, but how it opens with the camera choices and the way they edited it, and then the way that he gets the knife out, and he
fucking film nerd,
and he slashes it out.
It was stupid,
right? But the way I just thought I was really impressed with the atmospheric look of this film.
Boy, like when I said, it felt like. Here's the thing: I love old Doctor Who, but this looked like old Doctor Who. I'm like, was this on videotape? Because also they're outside, but those sets are hallways. Okay.
Right.
Never outside.
Oh no, it's a set.
Okay?
No, it's a set.
But it's not even like a big set. It's like that's in my house.
You know
and
what?
They're acting like they're on the fucking street.
I kind of like that kind of surreal look for me. I guess it just kind of had this. It worked for me as for how it added to the creepiness of it. And I thought the scenes of the 3 or 4 murders that you see in the movie, I thought those scenes were really well done. I really thought that the tension and the way the camera dollies up to it, and if you notice, there was every time the murder was going to happen, the camera would crooked. I thought that was cool.
Sure.
I like that.
Didn't notice. There are only 3 murders in the movie.
Yeah. It wasn't very many.
Because there's 5 here's the one problem is I know too much about Jack the Ripper.
Okay. Yeah.
This movie is a fucking bald-faced lie.
No.
Even if in 59
I don't even think they were they were trying to say this was true.
They have a person in here who is Jack the Ripper, who is a character in this movie. It's some doctor. He dies in the end. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. The best scene in this movie is his death scene.
At the end?
Yeah.
At the elevator?
In the elevator?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit,
I thought that was
cool.
great.
Mostly because it wasn't a Jack the Ripper killing.
Yeah.
Where he, in this, here's what Jack the Ripper does. He has a scalpel, just like probably Jack the Ripper. He stabs a woman, then he leaves. Okay?
Yep.
I'm like,
you're trying to figure
that
out.
wasn't Jack the Ripper.
Right.
People died from getting stabbed all the time. Jack the Ripper's famous because of the actual stuff he did.
They introduce red herrings, and you're like, oh, it could be this guy, could be this guy, could be this guy.
Yes.
And then so it ends up being
unless you're a human being who could figure out things.
Right.
Oh, it's that character, the jerk. Yeah, it's probably him. Okay.
Well, there was a jerk, but then there was the other guy who wasn't that the doctor wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
but I thought it was going to be the other guy, the jerk.
Okay.
Right. And I actually liked that actor. I thought he was really good.
In this movie, Jack the Ripper, when he's going to kill a woman, he asks her name first.
Oh, Mary. Is it Mary Clark?
Are you Mary Clark? Mary Clark? They're not Mary Clark. He still murders them? I'm like, you're trying to kill Mary Clark. Why you kill her? Okay. I don't understand. And then here's the thing. Other people eventually hear this.
Yeah.
They know that he's asking the Mary Clark question. Yeah. And I'm like, why does he still kill her?
But then one of them actually ends up being Mary Clark.
Oh, yeah. He actually finds her.
Yeah.
That was the only accurate thing in this.
Yeah.
The final kill in Jack the Ripper, 5 murders free,
yeah.
is the only one that's indoors.
Okay.
In this, he kills her inside.
Yeah.
It's like in her apartment or whatever.
Right.
All the other 2 that we see, because this movie starts, and he kills somebody, but Jack the Ripper's already been famous, and there's the Ripper killed somebody again.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, somehow a guy from New York is on vacation, but he comes here to try to help us. So I'm like,
so the Scotland Yard,
what? You
the
can't
Scotland
go across the ocean
Yard
that fast.
The Scotland Yard inspector, I actually liked him. He kind of reminded me of like a J.K. Simmons kind of guy.
I actually didn't hate.
That was Eddie Byrne. That was Eddie Byrne. The only guy that was okay was the American guy. He's okay. It takes place in the late 1800s. He's got like a 50s pompadour.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
right?
oh, yeah. Oh,
Total
no.
pompadour.
Well, whatever. It's a movie from that he was like, I'm not gonna get a haircut for this.
Right. And that was Lee Patterson.
I mean, here's the thing. You've seen Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
He can't have that fucking haircut in that prison.
Yeah.
Okay?
So it's a short movie. It's like 80 minutes long. I thought for what the movie was trying to do, I thought it was really effective. I thought it was atmospheric. I thought some of the kills were good. Yeah, sure, some of the characterizations and stuff could have been better, but I thought for what it was trying to do and being a precursor for a slasher film, I liked it. I'm going to give it a 3.
Oh, well, I'm not giving it a 3. I'm going to give it a solid. I'm going to give it a 1.5, and that's only because, okay. Although here's the thing, it still doesn't make sense. After he kills the actual Mary Clark, the cops show up already. Yeah. They're like super fast somehow, whatever. Okay? He's on the run. He gets in an elevator. Next thing you see, somehow he's under. Well, he gets in the elevator, and then he's underneath the elevator. They do not show how that happens.
Oh, yeah.
He gets underneath the elevator, and then some people who have the Mary Clark like body with them gets in the elevator, and he can't get out because there's a cop outside the elevator. Yeah. Who like puts a cigarette out of him. Yeah. It's the stupidest thing I've ever fucking seen. He's like, they cut to it and he's like, puts his cigarette out on it, but he does it in such a way that like nobody in human history has ever done. Okay. He like pushes it onto the only like this latching lock that comes down. Yeah. And you're like, first of all, there's no cigarette in that guy's fucking hand. Okay. So and it's like, boy, whatever. But he's trapped in there and the elevators come down and he's like pounding on the door. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool scene. That shitty balsa wood door that anybody can get out of. Whatever. Okay.
The only thing, so if you want to see Jack the Ripper, it's you can watch it like on Tubi. The only thing is the movie was kind of forgotten about and really wasn't properly restored, so you're not going to be able to find a really good print of this. The only source that they could find is a 16mm print because all the 35mm prints are reset. It's all right for there. Oh, but yeah, wow, so
you're fucking cheating.
But the 35mm print is gone. It's lost. It's lost. And has never been found. 35mm.
Well, they have these magic computers now that can fix things. Have you seen those videos?
Yes, you can do that. But still,
somebody would have to take a half hour of their life and do it for the movie. But it ain't fucking worth it.
I think it is. I think it's kind of a I'm not going to say it's super important, semi-important film. A little bit in history because this is kind of a slasher film before it was a slasher film.
Whodunit movie thing. I understand, and I do agree. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's 59. This is a slasher. We checked some reviews. Yeah. And they were talking about how this movie's only exists for the gore. And then
obviously there's not much.
You mean that black and white blood that you sort of kind of see? So there's no gore in this movie. Yeah. Because I'm like, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I don't have high hopes, but it's Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper was a fucking gory monster. Okay?
Yeah. He would
cut out lungs or cut out like uteruses and shit. It was crazy.
I guess this one surprised me too because I wasn't expecting anything of it. And out of all 6 of the movies, this is the one I was looking forward to the least. So I was surprised. So I actually liked it. So yeah, it was
okay. Looking forward to the least out of these 6. It might have been Gazebo actually, because I actually kind of was like,
that was my second least.
Jack the Ripper. I'm like, there's no way to do Jack the Ripper and not have it essentially be a slasher film.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a movie where Jack the Ripper is a person and they tell you, oh, Jack the Ripper was this person. And I'm like, I kind of wish, here's the thing. The best way to do a Jack the Ripper movie is you literally just don't know who fucking Jack the Ripper is. Yeah. At the end of the movie, Jack the Ripper's gone. Yeah. You don't know if he's ever coming back. Right. And you live in constant terror. In this, they all know that Mary Clark was supposed to be killed. Yeah. She's dead. They all know Jack Ripper's never coming back. And it will never be solved, even though he got smushed underneath an elevator and his blood came oozing up the thing. And I'm like, they never found his body. It was right there. Okay?
So that's Jack the Ripper. We had 2 more left. So then, from low budget to prestige, we're going to the CAINE Mutiny.
Prestige. Yeah, this might be the next 2 are the ones I have the most to talk about, though.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. The CAINE Mutiny, 1954. So this was a reissue. Nominated for Best Picture. Humphrey Bogart nominated for Best Actor. Oh yeah, what's the guy's name that was nominated for Best Supporting Actor? It was Tom Tully, who played the captain that Humphrey Bogart replaces.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, spoiler alert for my review.
Yeah.
Everybody in this movie's awesome. Except for the main character.
Agreed.
God damn, is he terrible.
I agree.
He's fucking awful. And I'm like, why? Why is he the main character?
So
I hate his guts so much.
Did you read about this guy?
He's dead.
Yeah.
Well, I know he's dead.
He died a year later.
He died in a car accident a year later.
Oh, no, it was a plane ride that he had a private plane. And
he died in a tragic accident a year later.
So this was
just like...
He's only did 4 movies. That was it. Robert Francis is his name. Yeah.
It's tragic.
So
that I actually get to see him in more movies.
I actually don't think... I didn't think he gave a bad performance. I didn't like his character. So I'm gonna get into that. So
there is that. Even in the performances, everybody else's performances were still better.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Both the captains.
Yeah,
I mean Humphrey Bogart in this is so fucking mind-bogglingly good.
Well, hold on. Okay. All right. So World War II. This is based off a novel. I don't think it's an actual.
It's not an actual event.
No.
I think it even tells you in the beginning. By the way, this very much didn't happen. Don't go around telling everybody about this mutiny that American happened.
Well,
because it's never fucking happened.
The movie
it feels real though.
Right.
It feels super
real. Oh, absolutely. So the movie has an in with this character of Willie, who's played by Robert Francis, and he is newly graduated from whatever. He's just going into Navy school or whatever.
And I don't know what that is. I know what West Point is.
He gets appointed to the CAINE, and he's like, it's CAINE. And he's like, cool, I can't wait. And he sees the boat, and he's like, is that the CAINE? He's like, no, you gotta go through the boat to get to it. And it's a shithole.
I liked that. I liked a lot of this movie.
Yeah, no.
I just hated him so much.
Oh, it's a solid movie.
There's a romance subplot. That's the thing you didn't bring up. Before this, we find out he has, or maybe it's after that, he has a girlfriend.
No, you find out before he goes on the ship.
His mother doesn't approve of said girlfriend, so he doesn't really ever want to tell his mom about the girlfriend.
No. She didn't even know about the girlfriend because he's afraid that
knows she's not going to approve.
And when she finds out, she doesn't.
The girlfriend's all mad about the fact that I can't believe you didn't tell her about me yet. And I'm like, he's probably gonna die anyway, so fucking.
So they have this like romance stuff, and I think they do that, and especially if you watch a lot of movies from like the 50s and 40s, they kind of have when they have a lot of like interesting characters, they always throw in some guy that's bland, that's a blank slate, that is like this is the audience is in, right? So and they do that. They still do that today.
I hate blank people.
They still do that today. So James Cameron's Avatar. That made that guy. He's the blank slate.
Yeah, that's why
you don't care about anything.
He's the stupidest thing in that movie.
Right. So I feel
like it can be really good, except for the half the movie you got to watch that piece of shit.
Right. And I kind of feel like that was the case with this movie. You got this guy here, but then once you get introduced to all the other characters, you got Van Johnson as the lieutenant, and then you got Fred McMurray's on there from.
Fred McMurray's awesome in this.
Oh, he's a great actor. I think he's really underrated. Anyways, and then Tom Tully plays the captain, and then you also got.
Okay.
Right.
A thing that happened in this. I forgot about the Humphrey Bogart part. So when the captain showed up, I'm like, okay, the captain's kind of a jerk, but I don't think anybody should mutiny against him. And then I forgot.
He retires.
I forgot. Oh, he doesn't retire. He gets transferred to an actual boat. Okay?
Yeah. So then Humphrey Bogart takes over. But then also as a character, you have Lee Marvin is one of the shipmates on there as
really
Meatball.
Early. God, he's young in this.
Yeah. His hair's not white yet.
Yeah,
just in a couple years.
Okay, we're saying he's young, but he was an actual World War II veteran, so he's still like 40.
Yeah, he was probably late 30s in this movie for sure. So you have and introduce all these little cast of characters and stuff, and you're like, okay, this is kind of neat, and they're all kind of likable and they're kind of fun to watch. Yeah. And then it's not until about a half an hour into the movie is when Tom Tully leaves, but his character of the captain, he's just so laid back, and the guy Robert Francis doesn't like the way he does it because he does it so unprofessional. He's like, I can't believe you don't make everybody do everything by the super book on this boat. And he's
We're
just
never going to see anything, and all we do is nothing.
And he's like, okay. Well, then Humphrey Bogart comes on, and he's more by the book.
Not more by the book. He's Mr. By the Book.
Yeah. And at first, Robert Francis is like, cool, finally a captain I can get behind, right? So he's like, make sure they're all tucking their shirts. Like, cool.
I hope he doesn't turn out to be an insane person.
Right. Well, and what's interesting about this, I wouldn't call him like he's super insane.
No. He has a nervous breakdown and stuff. Yeah, that's the reason this movie works.
But, and also, too, the nervous breakdown.
A bad captain.
Yeah.
But also, he's an amazing captain.
Right. Well,
at the same time.
Well, what's interesting about it is that when he goes crazy, it's not like a over the top, like, you know, like he's not crazy. He's just
That's
making,
because that would be bad acting.
Right.
He's a good actor.
But he's just making some questionable decisions under fire.
Okay.
Or under pressure. Under pressure.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are very weirdly questionable.
Well, the first one, when it gets weird, is when they have that line, that toll line.
Yeah.
He's and they're having him go in a circle, right? He's like, okay, circle around. The helmsmen are waiting for what do we do next, but he's busy chewing out.
And they try to ask him, and he goes, "Don't interrupt me while I'm yelling at this guy for having one untucked T-shirt."
Right.
Okay.
That's exactly. And then they end up going over the line, and then he's like, "Oh, look what I did!" And
then he bald-faced lies to.
Oh, he does. He does. Yeah, he doesn't own up to it at all.
He does not own up to it at all.
It'd be one thing if he was like, you know what, I made a mistake, but he's like, nope, I didn't do anything
obviously,
wrong.
if he was a good person, we would.
And then it gets a little crazier because then Humphrey Bogart is like, he makes a big deal about missing strawberries.
Yes. That is probably the most fascinating thing that happens in this movie.
It was really cool.
It's surprising.
It's like a 20-minute segment.
And I loved every instant
that was
of
a neat. That was
because
a neat part.
he is insane.
Yes.
Well, actually, they only mentioned that there were strawberries. As a matter of fact, not even at one instant in this movie do you ever see a strawberry.
No, you don't. Because they all ate them. So
they're all gone. Because he wants he wants even more strawberries on even more ice cream.
So there's all this strawberries missing. Okay, let's see how many have eaten, and they fill up this bowl with sand.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's many strawberries, and then
so that's the thing. That's what I was interested about.
Yeah.
What do you mean by strawberries then? Does it equal sand?
So
or is it not like just big chunks
and
of
strawberries? And he calls everyone in like at 1 a.m. about this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So then later on, so it all leads up to the scene toward in the second half of the movie where they're in some rough waters, right? And that's when the ship looks like it could capsize because it still looks like it's pretty hairy out there. That's when Van Johnson is at the helm, right?
I think that's a miniature, but it was really.
Oh no, it looks cool.
It looks pretty good.
Oh no.
I mean, it wasn't miniature. It looks like there's no way they're still on that boat. The thing was basically sideways in times, and then they cut to him inside, and they're like, "It's kind of rocky, but whatever." Okay.
But so Van Johnson at the helm, and he's just like, and he's been the guy that Van Johnson's character is actually kind of defending Bogart through most of the film.
Yes.
And at this point,
he's he's the second in command on the ship.
Before the storm happens, though, they all after the strawberry incident, Fred McMurray and Robert Francis and Van Johnson are like, let's go talk to the admiral. And
this is what Fred McMurray wants to happen.
Yes,
his character, because he
goes,
this is too fucking much.
And he's a paranoia.
He literally made us tear this entire thing apart, looking for a key that does not exist.
Yep.
And then the Jerry Paris character. Jerry Paris is another guy who went on TV stuff. Okay.
He actually directed Police Academy 2 and 3.
Yes, he directed a lot of TV. He was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, which already makes him my best friend. Okay? He tells them that he both saw the cabin boys eat the strawberries, and he told the captain, and the captain still didn't believe him and made them do all this shit.
Yes.
And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
there's no cursing in this. In either of these military movies, nobody says any.
They say fouled up, which means fucked up. So they say fouled up. Yeah. But anyway, so they go to try.
Say foobar.
They could. So they would go to try to go to the higher ups, but then at the last minute, they're like, you know what?
Well, it's mostly Fred's just like, this is terrible, because they went onto a ship that is run by a guy who is just as strict.
Yeah.
And you can tell
he's
just as strict, and his work's great. Oh yeah, they're on an actual fucking.
That shot was awesome because when you see the elevator go up and the shot is
cool.
It's a cool looking.
This movie takes place on actual ships.
Yeah, it's
because the military, the army, the Navy, let them use ships.
Yeah, at
just
first
like the military, the Navy let them use it for Operation Petticoat.
I do think when they first saw it, they were a little upset about it because there was some they're like, I don't know.
Well, but I think the thing is, it's based on a novel. Yeah, and I think obviously, if this was based on it, it's probably not bad, and it does a good job. The military itself is not a villain in this movie.
No, it's not.
There are military movies where the military itself is the villain. It's not the villain in either of these movies.
No, it's not. So they end up not doing it. So then the storm's happening, and then what happens is they're like, what should we do? And they're asking Humphrey Bogart what to do, and he's literally frozen. Like, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, no, keep doing this. Van Johnson's like, no, we got to do this. And he's like, what should we do?
Well, he holds on. You can see Humphrey Bogart in full panic mode.
Yeah.
And he can't make a decision.
Yeah.
He's not even hearing what people are doing.
No.
And so the second a man just says, I'm taking command right now.
Yep.
And that's when Humphrey Bogart goes, what? No, I am captain. You will not do this.
And then Fred McMurray comes in and he kind of seconds it and he's like witnesses it.
They at one point they call up all the officers to come in there and I'm like, they can't walk in that ship. I just saw the outside of the ship. And nobody fucking move around in that fucking ship.
They didn't look that wet. Yeah.
they come in and they're like, oh well, we came strolling on this deck that was basically 90 degrees sideways, but whatever.
So then what happens is there's going to be a court martial now of Van Johnson's character.
Yeah.
And that was possibly Robert Francis.
That is the
last half hour. Yep.
Right there.
That's the last half hour of the film.
Last half hour of the movie is court.
Yep.
And at the moment the mutiny happened, and I'm like, there's so much of this movie left. Is this all gonna be court scene? And I'm like gonna start, and I'm like, it is. And then it's good. It's great.
Well, then you got who's second billed, Jose Ferrer as the.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, between then and then, I think there's more love scene.
Yeah.
Fuck that garbage.
Yeah.
This movie could be a good, I would say, 20 minutes shorter. Edit it all out, you wouldn't even miss it.
Yep.
It would only make the movie better.
Actually, I'm glad you said that because I was actually going to say that. If you take all of that stuff, like you didn't need Robert Francis' character, I would take him out.
I think you still need him as the point. The point of view makes sense.
It does,
but you could edit him down to being barely there.
Maybe put it on Van Johnson's point of view. Maybe put it on Fred McMurray's point of view.
Actually,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I almost feel like I didn't need that stuff with the romance and stuff. That was by far my least favorite part of the movie. Every time I went to that, I'm like,
no.
Every time I went to the Robert Francis stuff,
it's so mostly because everybody in it is bad. His character is boring. The girlfriend is stupid and boring. His mom is stupid and boring. And I'm like, just make this end. And then the moment they get back in the ship, I'm like, oh, thank you.
So
I'm so happy now.
But the guy who plays the lawyer, who's Jose Ferrer, or I can't pronounce his last name. He's awesome.
He's awesome.
He's really great.
His right hand is in a wrap. They never mention it. I assume in actuality, he just hurt his hand on his way to the theater.
He's really cool. I believe he won Best Actor in 1950 for Cyrano de Bergerac. So,
really?
So,
he was spectacular.
He was really good in the movie.
That's also some of the most interesting stuff. He gets them off because he basically and he
didn't agree with them either. He was just like,
no, he's like, I have to do this because it is right that you didn't do anything wrong, except for I hated that you did all these things and I think they're wrong. It's weird.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, then they get everyone on the stand. And the scene when Bogart takes the stand is some great acting from Bogart.
Oh. And
he also has this nervous tick to where he had these like silver balls that like little mini pinballs almost.
He pulls them out when he's like nervous.
Yeah. But the scene when he's on the stand and then you actually see him
there's like a long shot of his like talking.
Yeah.
And after he's been like asked a question and he slowly breaks down in the middle of this monologue and I'm like, holy
so
fuck,
I have even before this movie, so I loved Humphrey Bogart. So Casablanca's great. I love The Big Sleep is one of my personal favorites of him. Maltese Falcon is phenomenal. African Queen.
So many of these movies I haven't seen. I'm assuming if we keep this podcast going for the
let's go. We got to go back in time to see. I'd love to go watch those again because especially in the theater back then. But Humphrey Bogart, I just love him anyways. And he does something a little different in this movie. Like, he is acting, because he kind of is like playing Bogart a lot of the times, but he does it so well. It's just like, here's looking at you, kid. But here he is legitimately playing a character who is going crazy, and I've never really seen that from him. And he doesn't do it in an over-the-top hammy way. He does it in a realistic way.
You can see
it's really good.
And he also knows that everybody's seeing this happen.
Yeah.
His character knows. Yeah. And he can't stop himself. It's so fucking amazing.
And this has nothing to do with the movie. My only gripe with that is, though, he got nominated for Best Leading Actor. It's a supporting role. He's only in the movie for like a half an hour.
You're right.
It's a supporting role.
He's not the lead.
He's not the lead.
There's one lead, and we hate his guts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He is not the. But then the Academy does that all the time. Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins wins Best Actor. He's in the movie for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a supporting role.
It's just, but they were like, but somebody else is going to win supporting, so we got to give it to Bogey.
So they did. So, but no,
Bogey died like real shortly after,
like 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later.
So I was wondering if if they had done it because he had died.
He is great in this movie, and he deserves the nomination. So, and Tom Tully, I did like Tom Tully in the movie too. I would have nominated Jose Ferrer too, though, as the lawyer.
I thought he was so good. He has like his own speech after he has gotten them off.
Oh, and he's drunk.
They're all like celebrating.
And he's drunk.
Okay. Also, in the trial, the Fred McMurray character shows up, and he betrays them all.
Yes.
And I'm like, holy shit! I did not expect.
That was a great character moment. I thought that was cool.
Just says he just assumes they're all going down.
Yeah.
That there's no way we're going to get out of this, so I'm going to try to cut ties.
Yeah.
But then the lawyer just has to be good enough that if he gets Humphrey Bogart on the stand, he can literally ask him like a couple of questions, mostly about strawberries, and the guy goes fucking insane. Okay?
He does. Yeah, no, so it's filmed really well, directed by Edward Dmytryk. He did a lot of war films and stuff, and it's a solid movie. It would be a great movie if it wasn't for all the Robert Francis subplot stuff.
Yes.
So I am going to give it a solid 3 stars. But I can't give it any more than that because anytime I went to the Robert Francis stuff, I just didn't care. But everything else is really good in the movie.
I agree. 3 stars.
Yeah.
But if you cut that out, it's a 4 star.
3.5, 4 stars
bang.
For sure.
This thing would have been phenomenal.
Also,
except for the bad stuff is so terrible.
I normally don't like Van Johnson. I usually don't like him in movies. Okay. I thought he was pretty good in this.
I like everybody except for that main guy, Robert Francis. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing: there's only a couple other movies we can ever see him in. But we travel through time. We might see one of those at some point.
You know, I didn't. Like I said,
This is the movie that got him his career, though.
Right.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think. I didn't hate him in it. It was more of the subplot and the writing and the character.
I couldn't tell.
For me. That was for
his character was so
I didn't think he was bad
and so bland, and I'm like, is it just he's boring and bland, or is it just they gave him a boring and bland character to play?
I think it's the latter. For me, anyways, I think it's the latter.
I couldn't.
You couldn't tell.
Maybe he's just so good that I couldn't tell that he's not that stupid and lame.
But no, I'm glad I saw it, and it was neat, and I would definitely watch it again for Humphrey Bogart and all the rest of the actors in it. Like Humphrey Bogart, it was really neat to see him in this movie. So
here's the thing, I think there was a different crew for the directing and stuff for those shitty on-land scenes with him and the girlfriend and stuff.
I don't think so, but I mean,
they stuck out.
They did really stick out.
They seem so different.
Yeah.
Everything about them is so different.
It's like a different movie.
Yeah,
almost. Yeah. It didn't.
A different, really terrible movie,
and it didn't really add a whole lot to the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't matter, and so it's too bad because this could be one of those ones that AFI top 100 films of all time. If it wasn't,
it still is. I think it's on all those lists.
Yeah, it's on a lot of lists. But yeah, it is good.
Would be higher if it didn't have that terrible garbage.
So yeah, but it was cool to watch. So
oh yeah.
So last movie, The Ladykillers. I was really looking forward to this because we watched Alec Guinness, like I said, in Murdered by Death, and we're like, we got to see him in another comedy. And we also got Herbert Lom and Peter Sellers, who were both in the Pink Panther movies.
Yep. Well, and Peter Sellers was in Murdered by Death.
And he's in Murdered by Death. Oh, with Alec Guinness. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, for sure. So Ladykillers, it's a British production directed by Alexander McKendrick. And he did a movie I've only seen one of his other movies, and he did The Sweet Smell of Success with Tony Curtis.
I can see on this Wikipedia page I've opened that there's a link that has been clicked. One link on this entire page, and that is that director because you didn't know who the fuck he was.
No. I knew who he was. I know who he was. It was Sweet Smell of Success. I just want to see if I seen any of his other movies. Because the only movie I knew he directed was Sweet Smell of Success. But he did direct Man in the White Suit, which is another Alec Guinness.
Is that what I'm thinking it is? Is that a different thing?
1952. I don't
think
that's
a different Mandy.
That's not what you think it is.
I'm like, maybe the other Mandy's a remake.
But he's a British.
Well, we don't know that.
He's a British filmmaker. But yeah, he did the Man in the White Suit with Alec Guinness as well.
Okay.
So that'd be interesting to watch.
Here's the thing. Alec Guinness blew me so away in this movie.
Oh yeah.
He's so phenomenal and hateable.
Yeah.
But here's the best part about this. You're supposed to hate him.
Oh yeah.
Unlike the other movies where you're supposed to like people and hate them, you're supposed to hate them.
But you enjoy hating him.
Oh, you enjoy hating him. Also, he's so ugly.
Well, they have this. They give him this teeth.
Yeah, he's got ugly teeth thing going on.
So the premise of this movie. So this was remade. The Coen Brothers remade it in 2004.
I've never seen that.
I liked it.
Okay, I've never seen it. I've heard bad things.
It's worth it for Tom Hanks is fucking awesome in it.
Is he basically the Alec Guinness character?
Okay. But he doesn't. So the thing is with that movie, all the premise and a lot of the stuff that happens in that movie that happens in this movie. but the 5 main killers are very different.
The
5 main people they're very except they have one dim-witted guy, and that's about it.
Is the old lady basically the same most lovable human being you ever met in your entire life?
She's a little different because they cast Irma P. Hall, who's black. So she's different. So she kind of has
when does that story take place?
It takes place in present time.
In 2004.
Yeah, so she's complaining about
I've seen the posters. It doesn't look like it takes place in 2004.
Because she's well, it's funny because Tom Hanks' character pretty much is in a it's almost like that he takes place in another time.
Does he have a time machine, Austin Kennedy?
Yeah, not like me. No. So, anyways, I was very curious to see because I actually liked the Coen Brothers, even though it didn't get good reviews, but I think it's pretty good. So I was like, well, we'll see how this is. The premise is the same. So what it is, it's there's this little old lady, played wonderfully by Kay Johnson.
So fucking
She won a British Academy Award for her performance.
It's deserving.
She's so good in this movie. Like, I loved her in it.
So good.
She is.
I don't think anybody's bad in this.
No. Everybody's good. So she plays this old lady who constantly goes to the police and is like, oh, I saw a flying saucer and
I saw a UFO. I saw time travelers show up and steal my car.
But and they're just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. They just humor her and like, we'll see you later. Oh, you forgot your umbrella, So, and then Professor Marcus, played by Alec Guinness, shows up at her doorstep because she has a want ad out for a tenant.
Yes.
So he goes there and is like, yeah, I'm also a musician, so I might have musician friends that are going to come over. We're going to practice together.
Oh, she's like, oh, I get to hear music.
Yeah, and then they literally
play the same song over and over.
Right. So when they come over to visit, he literally has a phonograph and he plays that over and over again. And she's like, oh, that's lovely. I'll bring you tea.
But
so they're actually not musicians because
they're not even in the same room as that. They go to the neighboring room and they plot a heist.
Yeah. So they're planning a heist. And then what they're going to do is they're going to take the money and they're going to put it in this big case, this trunk. And then they're going to have her pick up the trunk at the train station. Mm-hmm. And so they're kind of making her an accomplice unwittingly because he's like, hey, can you please pick this up for me? She brings it back. And then they're supposed to, get the money and live happily ever after. That's not what happens in this movie.
No, it's not what happens. Every single scene in this movie is an absolute joy.
Yeah, I agree. This was a great movie. The direction by McCrendrick, he has this, and it's not overly stylish, but it's he has a subtle stylish touch that makes it just a little weird and a little...
There's stuff that I think was just weird lighting or something. Yeah. Because there's times where it looks like there's a green screen, but I'm like, it's not a green screen. It's just the person in the foreground is lit up really differently than the people in the background.
I love the color in this movie because it's like a lot of pastel colors in this.
Really, it's
very Easter.
It's a fantasy movie.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it takes place in the real world.
No,
it has a little bit of a surreal quality to it, which I think is a big strong point for it. Mm-hmm. And all 5 of the people in the movie, Alec Guinness, Cecil Parker, Herbert Lom, Danny Green, and Peter Sellers as the thieves, they all are very eccentric and very different from each other.
They are
which
very
is
different.
Which is great. But
led by Alec, what everyone is.
Led by Alec Guinness, and he has I don't know if it's prosthetic teeth or he made his teeth that way.
I think he might have just stuck his bottom lip in or something but he's so good at it.
And he just says the line, and a lot of the comedy comes from the interaction between the thieves and the lady, because the lady keeps on interrupting them, and she's like, "Oh, have some tea," and they're trying to,
I can bring coffee instead.
There's this funny, and Alec Guinness, he's great in this movie, but his facial expressions crack me up in this movie. There's a scene where, towards the middle of the movie, when she is standing on his scarf, and he's trying to get the scarf out, and he's like,
oh yeah,
the way
it's when they were trying to leave.
Yeah,
after the heist, they have all their food, all their money, which they have for some reason taken out of all of the cases and put it into their instruments.
Yes,
even though they still bring the cases with them.
Yep.
I'm like, I think you can just leave it in the cases.
Right. But it's funny. But what's great is that she kind of catches on them, and she ends up figuring out because one of the suitcases.
She didn't do a lot of figuring out. She saw the
all suitcase
the money in the universe
opens
came
up,
out of a big old freaking out of that guy's cello case
because they were trying to leave, and then she has friends over for tea,
It's that same instant. Like the moment she catches on and they're trying to explain how did you hear us playing all that music, but we haven't got instruments.
And then
at least he didn't have a cello. The rest of them, they would actively have instruments. When she would show up, they would pick it up and they'd like sit in their shoulder. They would have it like swing in the air or something. I own this violin. Sure, I was just playing it. Okay.
So to go back a little bit, the actual heist, I actually really liked that sequence. It was really cool.
The heist was cool as hell.
Yeah. They go up, and he's got the handkerchief on his face, and they're.
That was when things start going bad.
Yeah.
But it all kind of works out.
Yeah.
When she is bringing the stuff to her house.
Yeah.
And then she stops because the one guy is harassing a horse.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no.
And they're like, what's going on? Oh my God.
They're tracking her. They're watching her.
Oh no, the first thing that happens is she turns around
because she forgot her umbrella.
Forgot her umbrella.
And they're like, why is she going back? I'm like, okay, she's good.
She just forgot her umbrella.
Right.
I thought she was going back to report us because she figured us out. They're just super nervous at this point.
Right. But then the title doesn't really come into the movie till the last 20 minutes. They're like, well, we got to kill the old lady.
I think it's like the last half of the movie. That's like a long time because they
probably half an hour. I'd say half an hour because it's only a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, it's a half hour. Yeah.
But so that now they're like drawing.
Spoiler alert! That lady's the only one who lives.
That's so great. But they do the whole match trick where like who has the shortest match and
it doesn't look like the guy, even though the guy who does it,
Herbert Lom,
skeeviest character in the bunch.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he cheats it in any way.
No. But so they they try to, and then the first guy that does it, he ends up, I'm gonna go kill her. Nope, I'm gonna leave.
He gets down there.
Yeah, and
she like passes out because it's been a long day.
Yeah,
she just caught a bunch of robbers. All her friends came over. They tried to before this. They essentially tried to tell her they don't even want the money back. Okay, if you give them the money back, it'll just confuse them.
Because the insurance company's going to take it over, right? Yeah,
the insurance company's fine. If you give it back, it'll just make things confusing.
Yeah,
we're just going to take the money and leave. And she almost kind of thinks about it for a second. She goes, "No, we're going to give the money back."
Yep.
But then they're like, "But you helped us. You're just as much a part of this as we are."
She's like, "That's okay. Like, well,
that's fine. I'll go to prison."
Yeah. Says all the attempts are really funny. How it ends, they have a running gag that they keep on dying because and then they drop the bodies on a train.
Well, the first one dies because he tries to steal all the money. She has the money in her room.
Yeah.
In that big cello case.
Yep.
And so he then picks it up, which even though that's pretty light money, but whatever. Okay. He goes out the window, but the window is like the second floor.
Yeah.
And so he's like on the roof, and they figure out that she's not dead.
Yeah.
And so they go outside and they see him on the roof. He eventually like falls down. He's just dead.
Yeah.
They don't actually see him. You never actually see any of them die.
No. And
you kind of see Alec Guinness.
Oh my God, that I laughed so
dead.
fucking hard at that. He's the last, so spoiler. So, and this is one I kind of, you kind of maybe want to see. Like maybe, I kind of feel bad spoiling some of this stuff. But the last scene though, not the last scene, but when Herbert Lom dies and it's just him left, and he kind of got shot, right?
Well, he shot at him. I don't think he got hit.
It was
a MacGuffin because he's like falling to his death, and he finally has the gun, and he shoots Alec Guinness. Then Alec Guinness seems fine, and then he just gets hit by like part of the train thing. She lives over a tunnel.
Yeah,
the busiest train tunnel in world history,
and it didn't shake the house at all.
They dropped so many dead bodies in the back of these trains as they're going by.
Yeah, that was really funny. And so but the movie, I think it ends so perfectly because she goes to the cops that they introduced in the beginning of the movie that they don't believe her. It's like, hey, I have all this money that was stolen, and like they don't believe her at all. They're like, you know what? Why don't you just keep it?
She goes, okay. And then as she was leaving, she gives some homeless guy
her umbrella. She's like, oh, we'll buy 12 more of them.
No, she forgot the umbrella.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't need it. I'll buy like millions of them.
Yeah.
And then as she's leaving, she gives some homeless guy an unknown banknote.
Yeah.
But it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's 1959. It's probably £1.
Yeah.
The money's was so weird back then.
Yeah.
Okay. British money was completely insane. Okay.
So this movie is fantastic. It's a classic.
It's my favorite one of the bunch. And I like CAINE Mutiny a lot.
Yeah.
But this
movie and the Gazebo too. So
you're right.
But for me, this is a 3.5 for me.
This is a full 4 stars.
4 stars for you.
Nothing
Wow.
about this movie that I hate.
Okay. I love it.
This is where I tell you the story about the fact that
It's close. It's close to a 4-star
I loved her. I loved her so much.
Me too.
But also, part of that was I felt really sad because last year I had to take a Greyhound bus from Philadelphia to New York. It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the Greyhound station, and then a little old lady got out of the Greyhound bus because she thought she was going straight to New York. But it was a layover. And she came out and she got really confused and she was sad and miserable. And so I helped her. We got her luggage. We sat on the bus together. We chatted. We became good friends. She was 85 years old.
Oh, wow.
We became Facebook friends.
That's awesome.
I think she passed away in the last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I don't know. Yeah. She hasn't posted anything. I haven't seen any information.
Right.
Nobody posted that she died, though.
No, right,
but she was 85. So I was like feeling sad because she was just a super sweet lady. And she reminded me of that super sweet lady.
So she was...
that's not her because she'd be 150.
No. But she was only like 77 when she did. She looked like she was 90. Though.
She looks old. But but she had been playing old ladies.
Yeah.
Since
old.
Yeah. I looked at her stuff earlier. Yeah. Old Man's Wife, 15 years earlier.
She only did one film after this, so.
Yeah. She died a couple years later.
Yeah. Yes, she died in 1957.
So let's see. Bogey died like 2 years later. Yeah. That shitty guy. I pick on him, but
Francis,
his character was terrible. Yeah. He died in a plane crash, and then she passed. Granted, hers makes sense. She was not young, but
But no, I think this movie's delightful. It's great. It's better than obviously better than the remake.
It's really good.
It's awesome. It's definitely one to watch. So for me, 3.5 for me and 4 for you. And it's close. Like this is one of those movies because I tend not to give 4 stars right away most of the time.
Yeah.
The more I watch a movie, I usually if I watch this a few more times, it could be 4 for me.
This is the reason I'm giving it 4 is I'm pretty sure if I keep watching this, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think so too.
This is a better
I do think so.
Thing. You watch it over and over, you're like, this movie's just getting better. And better.
Yeah, I think so too.
I honestly can't really come up with anything that I think is bad. There's some weird stuff where it looks like there's blue screens and green screens, but there isn't because it's like,
well, and even if
that guy walked from the background, okay, that's not a blue
no.
screen.
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think it was a blue screen. I think they did have rear projections in some of them.
No, I maybe, but there's times
in a couple of the shots.
There's times where it kind of looked like it, but also I'm like,
it added,
no, that car drove from over there.
But it added,
now it's in the foreground.
I thought it added,
like it's in the background.
It added to the surreal.
Yes, it makes it look magical. It's the weird shot when right after she catches them.
Yeah,
the cop shows up and he opens the door. It just looks terrible, but also I'm like, I think it's kind of supposed to look terrible.
Yeah, no, it looks neat. So no, I thought that was cool. So for me on this podcast, Ladykillers is my favorite one. My biggest surprise though was the gazebo because I was not expecting.
I assumed they would be good. I was hoping Jack the Ripper was gonna be great. But Gazebo was legitimately great.
Out of all of the weeks, so this is our 4th week going back in time. This is my favorite one.
This is your favorite episode?
This is my favorite batch that we saw when we went back in time.
Probably because there's nothing. As much as I pick on Jack the Ripper, I'm not offended by it. Every other one has had movies that were just unequivocally. I can't believe that Austin jerk made me watch.
The only one I didn't care for was one that you liked, so it wasn't a total wash. So Journey to the Center of the Earth, the only one that I didn't care for. Because I liked all 5.
The only one I didn't like was what you liked.
Operation. Well, you liked Operation Petticoat.
No,
fine.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper is the one
you like. Jack the Ripper. That thing's garbage.
No, I think it's neat.
But weirdly, it's garbage that I'm happy I watched.
So
that's the difference. It's that kind of garbage.
Yeah.
It's historic garbage.
So we went back 1960. Oh, we didn't talk about the music.
So apparently it's the thing we forgot last time too.
We totally
talk
did.
About what was on the charts. It's a bunch of 50s, 60s garbage.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's mostly.
February 20th, 1960, when we back in time, Beyond the Sea, Bobby Darin was probably on Teen Angel by Mark Dinning. But the one that was #1 for 9 weeks in a row or whatever was the theme from A Summer Place by Percy Faith.
Yes.
Which, it's all instrumental, so if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, I know. They use it in so many movies.
If you've heard this thing, and it's in so many things.
Yeah,
now, granted, we haven't listened to all these.
No.
I guarantee some of these you have never heard, or at least you have no recollection of ever.
Right, yeah. Well, they have Everly Brothers on
but
here.
But it was a top 10 hit. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Nope. It just disappeared. But that happens all the time.
So
10 years ago, you never hear about it.
Obviously, for us, best picture that we saw, Ladykillers.
Oh, yes.
For
that's
sure.
The best one.
Best performance. So it's kind of hard for me. So I'm like going back because there's 3 that really stand out for me. So it's Bogart, Alec Guinness,
yep,
And
the old lady, I'm sorry.
The old lady, that would be best actress. I would give her best actress. For best actor, it would be between Alec Guinness,
best actor in a male role, best actor in a female role. You're a bad person, Austin Kennedy. Yeah, you're a terrible human being.
But I really liked Glenn Ford in the Gazebo. I really liked him.
I would say
I was surprised by his performance. Like, I expected Alec Guinness to be that good. I expected that.
I expect he's Alec Guinness. I assumed he'd be
but Glenn Ford, I did not see that performance
coming. If he was my big surprise or if the old lady. Because I thought there was a chance the old lady was just going to be, she's an old lady in the room.
Yeah.
Okay? No, she was fucking hilarious.
She was good.
There was a period of time after they've told her, and they're using like criminal gangster slang, and she tries to use button up and stuff, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's so funny.
She's
like, oh, button up. The cop comes to the door and she goes, go away, I'm buttoning up. They all went away. They it's so funny.
She was good.
I'm gonna watch the movie.
I would say, I would too. I don't know, like, actually, you know what? I think she's my favorite performance.
She is
total.
It's my
total.
But goddamn, Bogey was so fucking.
He was
amazing.
good, but that would be so. Even though it was nominated for lead actor, that's best supporting actor for me.
If you're going by supporter, yes,
he would be supporting.
There's no real. I guess the female lead is what's her face, but she's not really in the movie.
No,
there's only one lead in that movie,
right?
Because it's on a fucking sub.
And then
it's on a boat. Although there's a submarine movie.
So best performance by a female, I would give Katie Johnson. But
she's so good.
But the actor, I would give to
the reason she had a job is because every time she was just amazing in every
But actor would. I'm gonna toss it between Alec Guinness and Glenn Ford.
They're both
really good.
Oh, and lead. I would say Alec Guinness because sometimes Glenn Ford could be a little. I mean, but also it was just 59 Hollywood. Maybe
I would give it to Alec Guinness, but the reason why I'm because I was just so surprised by seeing Glenn Ford. I've never seen him. I've never seen him in a comedic performance like that. So yeah, this was fun. I'm glad that we went to 1960.
The weird thing about this is the movies I would be most willing to watch again are the Gazebo and Ladykillers.
Oh yeah,
I mean, CAINE Mutiny is good, but I don't need.
I'm not going to watch that over and over again.
I don't need to watch it.
No.
Again. But I'll happily watch Gazebo again.
Yeah,
wants to watch that with me.
Gazebo and Ladykillers too, and I still like Operation Petticoat too. So you don't like it as much, but I that's a fun movie. I like that one. I picked a random date, so our next time travel, we're going to June 26, 1972.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do.
Middle of summer, so we're going to be seeing some drive-in. Good.
So that's what we'll be doing next time. So, until next time, I'm your host, Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
There you are.
that other guy.
Yeah, and until next time, stay geeky.